All right, turtle doves. Something stupid happened on the internet, and I responded by doing something stupid. And I'd like to experience this beautiful, stupid thing with you here together now. We are going to engage in an activity usually reserved for the rarefied air of YouTube Gearland, and that is an unboxing. That's not the stupid part. I mean, it is stupid, but that's not the... It's not the full stupid. It will also involve a 8-inch crate speaker, 4-ohm crate speaker that has been disconnected from a chassis forever. Whatever chassis this came from, though, the baffle is straight, like, 1-inch thick ply. So, and it's ported. So, I'm just saying it's not a bad look, crate. Okay, here's some hot takes. In no particular order. Queens of the Stone Age is a average band. Queens of the Stone Age is totally fine. They are absolutely adequate. They sure are a band. Their songs are cool, and they sound neat, and I like that they are a rock and roll band who makes rock and roll music. So, that's rad. Good on you, Queens of the Stone Age. Oh, it's just like, don't try and open boxes with screwdrivers! Okay. So, Queens of the Stone Age, thesis. Queens of the Stone Age is fine. It was long rumored that Queens of the Stone Age had Josh Homme has always been, Atlas says hi, has always been a little tongue-in-cheek, a little cards tipped not towards the opposing player with the gear choices that he makes. And his tones. His producer, Eric Valentine, has got a number of totally interesting videos about things that they did in the studio. But the spark notes of that is crank the mids and then and then increase the number of gang stages at which you could crank mids, and then continue to crank mids. But the videos are cool. I won't link to them because it's not a service that I provide. Okay, Atlas, we're done. Thanks, bud. I love you. Spot. Recently, Josh Homme was quoted as saying that the secret shitty Peavey amp. I don't know if I mentioned that the secret weapon. I don't know. I got a little flustered. I had a long day at law school. LAW school. Okay. Josh Homme, cards close to the chest in regards to equipment used to get tones. In an interview that also exists and that you can also find yourself, he was like, oh, I probably shouldn't do this, but I used a Peavey Decade. I used a Peavey Decade on everything. We multi-tracked everything, and at least one of those tracks was a Peavey Decade all the time. And because internet, the price of Peavey Decades went from $0 to $40. That was their price range previously, and then it leapt to, at least in some cases, $1,000, which is great for anybody who had a Peavey Decade. And I've never played a Peavey Decade, but there are an all solid state Peavey combo from the silver stripe era of Peavey, which is a fucking rad era of Peavey that I love hanging out in, and I encourage you to hang out in. I encourage you to buy all sorts of amps out of the silver stripe era. The amp that I would encourage you most to buy out of the silver stripe era would be the Rockmaster. Second place would be probably a Bandit. Third place would probably be the Roadmaster, maybe. But Rockmaster's number one for moi. So I threw a little reverb alert just because I'm curious about these things for Peavey Bandits, and I would get alerted whenever one was posted, and it would be added to my feed automatically. And that is what I paid for a Peavey Bandit. I paid, god damn it, technology is a lit sun upon the surface of which I reside. $69, nice, and 89 cents. It was $50 for the amp, just shy of $5 for tax, and $20 for shipping. But this box is tiny because what I actually bought was not a full Peavey Decade. What I actually bought was described to me as a fully functional, or described in the listing as a fully functional Peavey Decade chassis. I appreciate the packing job, seller, whomever you may be. Looks like the internal fuse is still intact. And look, we've got ourselves a Peavey Decade. So curious as to what happened to this amp that the original chassis got torn up. A lot of the Silver Stripe era amps, which you can recognize by the silver stripes on the front of the amp, but in case you're like moi and found a amp without its original case, you can see by these pointer knobs with red, creams, and blues. I said red, but I meant gray. And so what I'm going to do is plug this puppy in on my desk and then hook up the speaker leads to this unmounted Crate 1x8 baffle. And that's how we are going to experience a $1,000 amplifier together. So I hope you don't find this indicator light works. I hope that you do not find this to be a clickbaity proposition. I hope that you find this to be sufficiently stupid to warrant your attention. Let's see if I can't get. Well, that's not gonna fly. Let's see. Is this gonna fly? It's probably not gonna fly. It's not gonna fly. Oh, is it gonna fly? Oh, it might fly. It might fly. It's a precarious position. You, the audience, stand a better than average chance of falling from a Fender Super 6. So what we have here is our Crate speaker. I don't remember what Crate amp this originally came from. I'm gonna go red for positive. to go yellow for negative. Here we are. It's fucking rules. Alrighty. We gotta... I want to get it maybe so... Okay, that's just... Look, we're doing... We're gonna hear the... That's as good... Okay. Right. Oh! Got a little buzzing on power up. Okay, did any Peavey Decades actually sell for $1,000? I don't know, but a bunch got listed for $2 as soon as folks started to really chomp at the bit. Yeah, and a bunch got listed for $2,000 once people started to be like, hey, I've got this worthless amp that I would love to sell for $2,000. It quickly became clear that the actual market for Peavey Decades is not $2,000. Relevant Peavey enthusiast forums have been angry about this, so angry about this for weeks. Whoop, told you, that was you. That was you falling off of Fender Super 6. All right, we're gonna have to do a better job here. Relevant Peavey forums have been mad about this for weeks, but that's okay because relevant Peavey forums like being mad more than nearly any other task. And what we're going to do here is just play through a Fender Decade, provided it actually works. The main gripe of the Peavey forums, and when I say Peavey forums, I'm just talking about Peavey Facebook groups, of which there's like 8. The main gripe seems to boil down to, I'm mad that I don't have a Peavey Decade that I can sell for $1,000. Even if the gripers don't say that explicitly, that does seem to play at least a not insubstantial part in the gripe. And these are amps for folks who also have like no fucking clue like why this is funny. These are, and that's what it is principally, is funny. These amps were just some of like the dime a dozen little solid state practice amps. It would be as if this crate that this speaker came from was all of a sudden worth like $800. These are the amps that you find in the multi-purpose room closet of a Baptist church. Like these are the amps that like you that like you our garage sale amps. These amps are given to the less fortunate. I mean, it's the funny. It'd be like some fucking internet magazine saying that Mario Andretti prefers above all to drive a Ford Festiva, and then all of a sudden the price of Ford Festivas are now like $20,000. That's why this is funny. Well, here's our control setup. We've got 2 gain controls, one pre-gain and one post-gain. We have 3 equalization controls, low, medium, and high. You may have noticed me tug on the knobs at the beginning of the video. Many amps in the Silver Stripe, this knob era, have push-pull, or, pull pots. To give you things like a secondary EQ setting or a gain boost or things like that. The Decade does not have any pull pots with which to fuck. I mean, it's kind of cool that it just rocked so hard that the speaker fell over. Oh, cool. I'm in a noise band. That's what happens when you touch the chassis to the frame of the speaker. So that's tight. Gain. Pre-gain's all the way up. We are on the normal channel. Sorry, there's two. This is a 2-channel amp. And we have the gain cranked on the normal channel. Post is at about 2. We may have a little bit of coil rub on the speaker. I can't tell. It's a little fizzy, but there doesn't seem to be any real noise from the amp itself. Alright, let's crank the mids. Sick. I mean, I like the way that this sounds, but it sounds like every... it sounds like every, oh, it's the goddamn magnet. I mean, it sounds like every solid state, like, amp. It's cool, but it's not a thing. It's not that much of a thing. Also, I don't think it's stupid. I'm one of the few on these, Peavey Facebook groups who don't think it's inherently stupid to spend that much money on an amp. I mean, it is, but it's also like, I'm not a fun ruiner. Spend your money however you want. Mid and high at 10. I mean, okay. Great. Low's all the way up, EQ's all the way up. I don't claim to be demonstrating this amplifier to you in the way that Josh Homme claimed to use the amplifier on the recordings of Song for the Deaf. And I will not be demonstrating that because that isn't particularly interesting to me. But it is fun to have this, and it's also fun to use a preamp line out to do things like run directly into tape machines and do other stuff that I generally enjoy. That, for what it's worth, is a gain sound that I like. I would use that in lots of different ways, as is. That is absolutely $80, $70 worth of gain sound to me. There are other ways to accomplish that same sound. We are now post is at 5, gains all the way up, mids or EQs all the way up. I mean, doing its thing in the middle. It is louder, and it still sounds good. It makes the shitty speaker sound shittier when you turn the volume all the way up on the post gain, and then for that reason it sounds great. It's also a speaker that is this tiny and this has the qualities of this speaker are gonna basically give you a super fucking big mids bump in the mids up to the highs. Okay, so now we are in the saturation channel, which should have a lot more gain, and we'll start off on 3. This doesn't seem right. Let's jump page. I mean,
take a minute. I don't think that the saturation channel is correct. What it sounds like to my ears that's happening, I don't know, maybe it is. Well, I mean, here's the thing, like, it's running dead silent, and so, like, the little, like, kind of cross-off list of shit that, you know, if there is, like, if it is wrong, where would it really be a problem, is, there's nothing obvious that you would loop to. Like, the filter caps look great. A lot of this, I mean, you could replace them, but a lot of the silvers, and they're clearly not an issue because it's running so quiet, even with the speaker out of the chassis and literally next to Peavey Scorpion magnets. And what it sounds like when I'm in the saturation channel is that, you know how tube screamers do the annoying thing where you can hear your clean tone a little bit mixed in with the overdriven tone? That is annoying to me, at least. It kind of sounds to me like it's doing a similar thing. So, let's see, pre and post at 5. You are definitely... Can you hear that whisper of distortion that seems to be mixed in with the clean signal? Don't do this to amps that are plugged in. It's a bad idea. When you hit that like 8 to 10 range, but as it's sustaining, can you hear that little fizz above the harmonics? I feel like that is supposed to have like a, you know, kind of like a half and half split. Anyway, shall we proceed? We're at 10 on pre, 5 on post. Post on 10, everything's up, EQ's in the middle, all the way across the board.
which is I mean, is dope. Like it sounds good to me. I mean, I like this. EQ's all the way up, tones all the way up on the guitar, on like some sort of, I don't know, Firebird pickup on the neck. Actually the saturation channel, then LOL. I was expecting something a lot more akin to another amp that was in the another amp from the here. I didn't even mean to be able to do this comparison, but look, we can, because internet is the future, and you are the future. Also, we are the future, and the internet sucks. That is a Peavey Bandit 65. Has to be one of the greatest solid state amps ever made. EQs. Well, we're gonna roll off the bass because the bass is stupid on this, and this is the gain dimed on a Bandit in comparison to what the saturation channel of the Peavey Decade offered. Well, that sounds like shit. You sound bad, Bandit. Let me help. Okay, well, look, you were right in front of it. I know it didn't sound good, but the point of, or maybe it sounded great. I don't know. The point of the riff was sick. The point is, that honestly, for real, Peavey Decades are seriously, honestly, for real, underpriced at $700. This is a tone secret. This is a secret tone secret that you can have because I'm telling you the secret. So, thank you so much for getting me to 28,000 subs, and enjoy your tone secret. Thank you,
Josh Holmes.